Welcome back to another episode of Who Should You Choose, the video series where I go through the prior videos, questions, and comments and help you with your HUT lineup decisions. I started last episode by asking you guys a question as to what day of the week did you find to be the start of like the HUT week? And I got a bunch of different answers. A lot of people said Friday because that's when the new events come out. A lot of people said Wednesdays. I tend to think it is Wednesdays simply because that's when the objectives, like the main objectives that a majority of the people chase after, so the squad battles and the rivals objectives, those reset on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. So kind of my thought process there, but it was pretty mixed. So interesting to see. Obviously, it's not Monday because, you know, the reason why I asked that was, again, for my No Money Spent series, I was kind of thinking of like in terms of like cadence of like when to record and like when to drop it. I'm still going to drop it on Sundays, but I think that like the Wednesday to Wednesday work week is kind of, in my opinion, what it is. For HUT, we are finished with Team of the Year. By the time this comes out, we'll have about a couple hours left in before Team of the Year is finished, and we get the Four Nations Face-Off. I almost said Frozen Forces. Four Nations Face-Off event. I guess my predictions or like something that I would love to see out of it. MSPs that we can earn normally. And then secondly, some fantasy cards. But I don't think it can be just goals. I mean, I think the most amount of games played is 6. So let's say I would be blown away if they start them at 90 overall, the fantasy items. So let's say they started them at 88. Imagine it was just points. So every point you went up +1. I think that this event is perfect for the fantasy cards, but it also needs... I think any fantasy event needs to have the normal MSPs in it so that people that don't have, because they're going to cost a lot, as they should, but you need to have every event that has a fantasy aspect to it needs to have like a normal aspect because a lot of the player base can't go out and make all of those fantasy cards. So, and anyways, I'm really excited for that event. It's coming up shortly, and I'll be in Montreal for Canada USA, which is just I cannot wait. So let's get into today's questions and comments. Yesterday's episode, I went from the newest all the way to the oldest. However, I went back to just search the ones that I found that had some likes, and as well as the ones that I thought were interesting. So back to normal. We'll start with Wes. Oh my God, this video helped me so much. I've been playing this game for 2 years and did not know that wrist shots were so much more effective than snapshots. I've always tried to figure out how my opponent was getting the same shots to go in. I really wish EA had a better way of explaining these things that make a massive impact on the game. I don't know if there is so I say this all the time. The NHL video game is by far the hardest sports game from a mechanic standpoint. Like, if you were to play MLB, everyone says MLB is just, you're just pressing one button. There's nothing to it. It's not the case. But however, it is very simple. Like, you could explain to your wife or your grandfather, like, how to play it, and they might not be able to do it, but they would at least understand how to do it. You give someone the sticks in NHL, and it is just like someone speaking a different language for the first little while. And I think we take that for granted if we've been playing it a while. And the lack of showing people how to do the easiest stuff that we take for granted because we played the game for so long is hilarious to me. And wrist shots is one. And what's crazy is that it wasn't until HUT Rush was broken where it was like, hey, take wrist shots. And it wasn't registering. And everyone realized that they weren't taking wrist shots. They were taking snapshots. And then it's like, okay, so there's no snapshot stat. So what attributes are being used? It ended up being wrist shots are the attribute that is used mostly for snapshots. But still, there's just a lot that goes on in this game that no one knows. For anyone that missed last week's episode, when it comes to wrist shots, you basically, if you're on the forehand, so you have a left-handed player, and on your right stick, you go to 9 o'clock to hold it out to the forehand, pull it back just a little bit to about 8 o'clock, and then flick up. That's a wrist shot. Anything else, it will not be a wrist shot. It'll be a snapshot, which is a lot less power on it, a lot less accuracy, and it's why a lot of those same goals go in upstairs. That's probably why. Thanks for the comment. Thanks for reading my comment. The one about the set grinding killing the game for me. The point wasn't that I wanted or was trying to complete the set objectives. The hours of sifting through players to complete sets before they fixed the sets was miserable and ultimately the straw that broke my desire to play the game. The constant chores and to a lesser degree, Team of the Week pasta being other major factors. I'll still watch the videos, so keep up the great work, and I read every single glazing comment you get, my man. So my man here was talking about how the sets was kind of like the sets objective was like, hey, I'm out. It's frustrating because I said this about NHL 23. NHL 23, they didn't touch gameplay, and they didn't really update anything, and it was essentially we're all going to work towards NHL 24 and not really touch 23. And the problem with that is when you have a live service game, Ultimate Team is a live service game, we figure out the bugs very quickly, and it's the best way to figure out bugs is to get it in the hands of the players. And when you were just like, we'll figure it out, it leads to like a really rough. We're basically playing a beta. The memes aside, we're playing like the beta for the next game, and the content this year because of how much it shifted. Like if you were to go back and look at all the events, how you got cards, all of it, I don't think it's understood how big of a change that they did in terms of all of the content. Like it is completely different. The XP path itself, but the low progression, silver cards, being so much higher, the progression being really low, all of that. It is so much different. And when you're going through that in a game mode where you have to invest time or money to build your team, the thing I learned from AP Gate, for anyone that watched me back then, was that you can't make changes like this mid-season because people are investing time and money. And you have to have a certain expectation when it comes to investing time and money. There should be some sort of expectation. And that's the thing that's sorely missing, is that there's no expectation because we have no idea how this game or how the content is going to be released. And from a certain standpoint, that's a good thing. Like, keeps us on our toes. It's not the same thing over and over again. But at a certain point, we like kind of just need some consistency because you can make interesting I mean, they did it for 8 years in Hut. We knew it was coming, but they found ways to make it interesting. And this content team is just reacting super fast. And while that's not a terrible thing, but the sets thing in general, like how do you go into Team of the Year knowing that autofill is broken and all of that, and just be like, yeah, let's do it this way, as opposed to like a collectible format or something. Like it's just the time that it took to do all the sets and stuff, man. We're talking like hours of people's lives wasted because of the menu UI, which is just unheard of. It's 2025. Anyways, Megalodon says, I just want to point out something that other people might have noticed. When players hit 99, Sorelli and Pareko, their endurance isn't 99. Sorelli's endurance is 85 without synergies. So this was introduced might have been 23, when the full pressure meter came into the game. The major issue with the full pressure system was that that's a gameplay mechanic, and what was happening was when HUT progression, everything goes up to 99. And the problem is that when everyone's endurance got to 99, having full pressure really meant nothing. So they wanted that feature to remain a thing. And they nerfed it so much in 24 and really in 25 that I didn't even really notice it. I mean, I guess I do a little bit because players just run out of energy in general. It's not due to full pressure. It's legitimately they're just out of gas immediately. But they stopped endurance going up with progression because they wanted the full pressure system to work the same from the launch of the game to the end of the game. That's why. Genuine question for you sleeves or anyone in the community. I'm a Div 3 player who has the potential for getting Div 2. I'm in a slump right now where I can't seem to win any matches, and for every match I win, the next 3 or 4 matches I'll lose by a landslide. I want to know if there's any tips and tricks that I could do to be able to play online consistently and competitively without feeling like I need to punch a hole straight through my monitor. I've been playing offline for the past month. I've gotten to the point where I'm at the highest difficulty. I can score up to 15, 20 goals without stressing, and it's getting extremely boring. So you are dealing with skill-based matchmaking. So no matter what, no matter how many losses you take, let's say you play, I would say after about 50 games, like if you start a brand new account, after about 50 games, you will find your plateau, whether it's the skill rating or the division, and having a better team. After years of going no money spent, guys, pay-to-win team equals about 100 to 150 skill rating. That's it. So understand that if you're in high Division 2 with a no money spent team, you could probably get to the low Division 1. But if you're in low Division 2, you're not going to get to Division 1. You're going to get to high Division 2, right? Same thing all the way down throughout. That's just, again, that's a very vague blanket statement, but it's just what I've come to realize or notice by looking at other players' teams. Myself, I used to spend a ton of money on the game. It's about 100 to 150 skill rating. That being said, when you hit your plateau, you will go through stretches where you lose 5 to 10 games. And that might be because matchmaking is opening up because there's less of a player pool, which is a major issue. You'll fall down. You'll hit a point where you're so low that you're matching the bottom now, and you're just going to go on a 4 or 5 game heater. The rival, any skill-based matchmaking mode is designed to make you go 500 so that the game keeps you in the game. Humans in general, here's a perfect example. You play franchise mode. You spend about 20 hours making your team perfectly. Then you sim and you win 75 games and you win the cup and all of that, and it's super easy. You're bored. It's just what happens when there's no challenge involved. Humans get really bored and you move on to the next thing. So skill-based matchmaking is in the game now so that it doesn't deter new players, right? Because if you have someone new that matches up against a Division 1 player, there's a real chance that that's their first game experience, they're not playing again. But secondly, if you were to just continually win, every time you win, that dopamine hit you get will be less and less. And then every time you lose, because you're expecting to win is your baseline, every time you lose, it'll be devastating. So what they do is they give you a little bit more difficult matchups. You'll struggle a little bit, you'll fall back down, but they don't let you fall too far to where you're so discouraged you won't play. You're going to get some easy matchups, and then you're right back up. And if you look over 20 games, I bet you will fall within 20 to 30 skill rating every 20 games, no matter what. You're just stuck there. And the only way to break through those plateaus is by introducing a new game mechanic. So learning how to do the L2 backskate down the boards, which is just like the most like non-hockey boring thing in this game. That will separate you. That will give you 50 skill points. If you do that regularly, you will move up. It isn't hockey. It's boring to me, lame, whatever. Learning how to hold on to the puck more so that you can open up D2D one-timers more than normally. Not just talking about force feeding it. Again, that'll probably move up more. Like, those are the things, and it's usually when you watch other creators or streamers or things like that, that when you hit your plateau, you have to do that. You have to change something systemically in your gameplay. Hey, Slaves, I hope you're doing well. I'm already making Kucherov Ultimate Team of the Year at an X Factor discount, but I can make another Ultimate Team of the Year and build one team builder. Should I make Letang, or should I make McDavid plus Letang, or Backstrom Makar? I'm also hesitating between Anderson and Taves, my Four Nations pick, depending on which combo I choose. I would go McDavid and Letang. Yes. Taves has been very good for what it's worth. I've been using Taves. Damn, can't believe you get to see Canada USA. I think the cheapest tickets right now are like 400 plus, and it's in the 4 to 430 seats with obstructive views in certain areas. Which seats did you get, and how much of your liver do you have left after buying your tickets? I might go watch Finland, Sweden, since it's actually reasonable prices, similar to what I pay for a typical Habs game, 50 to 70 bucks. I am doing an event for the NHL, so if you saw it on their socials, they're doing a 3-on-3 creator showdown. So it's Canada versus USA's like top creator. So Nasher will be playing for USA, Swaggy P, Zach Bell will be on Canada, Coach Chippy, and I'll be the voice of it. It's my first time doing a real life call of a game, and it'll be on the 14th. And then on the 15th, I believe, is the Canada USA game. So the NHL gave me tickets for doing the event. So I'll be there with my wife, which I'm really excited for. But if anyone's in, going to that game or in Montreal and, you're down for the event, if you see me, don't hesitate to come say hi, man. I love meeting people that are, big into the Hut community. So always appreciate it. Take a picture. It's always fun. Exactly, Sleeves. I stopped playing NHL 25 for Team of the Year exactly from Monday this week. Finally, it's enough from October. Yeah, someone talked about why does Team of the Year end, or why do people say Team of the Year is the end of the game? It's because we grind so hard to save up everything, and then it's like getting end game cards. You could not log in until August, and all these cards will get to 99, more than likely, like the big ones, right? And it's like, okay, now what? Right? Because any cards that come out now are not going to be better. They're not going to have free abilities and unbelievable stats and all that, right? So the Team of the Year event is like, from a creator standpoint or a year-round event, I don't think it's like super great for the game. I understand it because it's an awesome hype piece. It is. It's really fun when Team of the Year comes out because you can just see it. Like, just thousands of people are just watching videos and streams and all that. So you could tell the hype is there. So, but that's why. Diabolical for EA to release make sets objective 2 days after the 100 set objective. It's like they want to piss us off, make it make sense. I know, man. It's just tone deaf is the best way to describe it. Hey, Slaves, I just pulled Team of the Year Casa. Since I already made Hellebuck, I'm looking to sell him. However, the only Casa on the market is up for 400,000 coins. Which do you think is a good price to sell him, considering he's a goalie and only a 90 for the rest of the game? here's what I would do. There's never a card, when there isn't a card up, right, and you like don't know what to make the price, usually I wait for a couple cards to just go up to set the market. What would you be comfortable selling with? Like, in all honesty, you probably could get like 400K for them, maybe 500. There's enough people out there that spend so much money or have infinite amount of coins right now that just want the best cards, and you'll find people that I would not do that, by the way, in terms of like buying it for that price. But yeah, I would probably set it there. The other thing you could do is like, what's the cheapest you'd be willing to sell the card for? So like, let's say, would you be okay with 300,000? Put the start price at 300K and no buy now, or maybe a buy now of 500. And that way, when someone bids 300, it just like the odds of selling it are much higher. We don't hate Canadians, bro. I don't know anyone who hates or dislikes Canada. I've never heard anyone say anything bad about Canada. I always considered it my next favorite country because of you're the brothers to the north. This was into talking about Canada booing the anthems and stuff like that with what's going on in the the political climate of the two countries. And yeah, I think that the further you get, I don't know where you live, Trent, but I think if you get, I'm from a border town and I lived in Buffalo for about 8 years of my life. But I'm Canadian. I live on the Canadian side. I think that if you're the further that you get away from the border, the less and less it's like the Canadians are awesome, you know. But yeah, it's just it's everything. It's not good right now. It will be eventually, but I think it's a perfect time for Canada USA to play in anything. Because I'll tell you, like that game in Montreal, the Four Nations, it's an all-star game, and in reality means very little. But I tell you this, man, I'm excited for the fans and the crowd. It's been a long time since I've been at a game with that atmosphere. I bet it's going to be absolutely absurd. And it's just because of what's going on in the world, I think. They should do the sets objectives every 2 weeks for every event, so it feels like taking all the time is worth it. 100%. Yeah, I think this is what I talk about when I think that the content team isn't all bad. Like they have some of their ideas are good. They just don't execute them well. Like the sets objectives is good because we're having to use so many sets and objectives to like complete them. Just like normal content. So it's like, okay, give us something for doing that. And that would be a great way to do it. So they did the set objectives when they did on purpose, and it was well thought out. They are trying to get you to waste all your 76 to 79 players in this, and then release the series to X Factors and Icons this Friday or next. If you see this post, don't use 76 through 79 cards in these sets. It's a setup. Well, first of all, I don't care who comes out for X Factors. Like, I am firmly just not doing them, and I don't know many people that will. I'll be honest with you. Like, it's unless the cost is so drastically reduced, I don't see how. In terms of like icons, the holograms are it, man. Like that's what we have. You can make a hologram for like 400K right now, which isn't a bad price to be honest with you. But the fact that they don't upgrade regularly has just been so brutal. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure maybe that comes into it, but I think it was more of them trying to do like a make right for all the time involved in sets. They're trying to give us something, but they just did it way too late. Tuesday, to be honest, in terms of the start of the Hut Week, you have the first content of the week, and then Wednesday, and then more than Thursday, we got XP and objectives, then Friday of time. That's interesting. That's interesting. That Tuesday's the start of the week. I think it's tied to more objectives in the content, though. I do. That is interesting, though. Hey, Slaves, I love the great content. More of a comment than a question, but would love to hear your thoughts. I don't mind the slower progression of overalls in this year's Hut, but it's tough when you have a guy like Joel Farabee, no offense, who's an 89 overall. Then you have a superstar like Nylander, who is stuck at 87. The best cards in the game are all 90. I don't get why it's a problem having a 93 McDavid by now or a 92 McKinnon as an example. I think not rewarding cards in real-life performance is absolutely killing this game. Just wanted to know what your thoughts are. 100%. I've been saying this since the launch of the game. Like, they do not reward in-game real-life performance nearly as much, other than the fantasy cards, which are very easy to do, right? And I agree. Like, this is, again, back to my argument why I think they're just getting rid of chase cards. Like, I'd be stunned if there's any chase cards next year. And it's because they don't want you investing in those cards and then solely relying on that content and just waiting for the next icon Nylander or whatever Nylander to come out because you have his X factor. They want you to go out and chase the new hotness Nylander, right? And I think it's silly because year-long chase cards are such a big part of the game. We love it. It's something to grind for. It's ridiculous. I agree that McDavid, McKinnon, Draisaitl should be ahead of a lot of people just simply because they're just doing an incredible job this year. So that's going to do it for this episode of Who Should You Choose. Thank you guys again for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And don't forget, this afternoon, we are going to be checking out the Four Nations event drop on Twitch. And I'll have a full video going up right after covering everything you need to know. See you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.